Hello. I watched a pot until it boiled, but stuff still happened. So what's up? A car crashed into a house. Sorry, a car crashed into the second floor of a house. And you're not supposed to park there. That's not where cars go. There's not a whole lot of information right now, but everyone's okay. The driver's hurt, but everyone in the house was okay. They were downstairs at the time. It's believed that this was an intentional act, which, wow. And also they think that he ramped off a culvert and flew into the side of the house. The 20-year-old guy driving the car, I don't know what was going on in his head, but vroom. That was the vroom. Hey, maybe don't use Zoom. Video calling company Zoom has updated their terms of service to be able to use all of your data to do whatever the fuck they want. In this case, probably train an AI. In their terms of service, it now reads, quote, Zoom may redistribute, publish, import, access, use, store, transmit, review, disclose, preserve, extract, modify, reproduce, share, use, display, copy, distribute, translate, transcribe, create derivative works, and process customer content. Create derivative works is the big one, but all of those, they can take your video and do that. They pinky swear that they're going to ask for your permission before they do that. Trust them. They're only the ones that can change their terms of service at will. You can't change the terms of service at will, but they can. Trust them. This is not the first time that Zoom has had some issues with customer privacy of information and whatnot. If you're looking for an easy, lightweight alternative to Zoom for just doing a quick video call with somebody, check out Jitsi. It's free. It doesn't require an account. It's peer-to-peer. It's encrypted. There's other alternatives. I am not sponsored. There's other options out there. You don't need to use the apps that you've already heard of. Ohio said no, but in a good way. Ohio had a big and random vote yesterday in the middle of August to vote on a measure that would have made it harder to amend the state constitution, among other random changes. Inconspicuously timed with the fact that there is an upcoming vote to enshrine abortion rights in the state constitution. Ohio Republicans were trying to make it harder to change the constitution right before abortion rights might have been passed. But voters were like, hey, what the fuck? They came out in droves on a random day in August to vote on a single issue that was only on the ballot because people were trying to be nefarious and leverage the apparatus of the state to harm the people who live there. And so this measure failed miserably. It was called in 20 minutes after polls closing because it was so decisive. Urban, suburban, and rural counties all voted against this measure. It was literally a measure that was made to just make it harder to do things with votes. Had it passed, it would have required a 60% majority for a constitution amendment to pass. It would have made it much harder to even submit the idea of a constitutional amendment, and it would have essentially gotten rid of the ability to correct signatures on mail-in ballots that were found to be not good enough. Just hey, we're gonna make voting harder. Vote on that. Anyway, billionaires not only shouldn't exist, but also shouldn't be able to influence our politics, because almost all the funding received for pushing this, the organization that was really behind it, was funded by a billionaire named Richard Uihlein, and he lives in Illinois, which is not Ohio. Let's talk about the Battle of Montgomery. A dinner cruise boat was trying to dock back at their pier at Montgomery, Alabama, but there was a pontoon boat in the way. A dock worker went to the owner of the pontoon boat and were like, you can't be there. And they were like, fuck off. So the dinner boat was not able to dock. It was just kind of sitting there waiting. And the dock worker was starting to beef with the people who owned the pontoon boat. He was like, you really can't be here. And they weren't responsive. So he started to untie their boat because fuck those guys. The group who I will refer to as the pontoonies ganged up on the dock worker and started to fight him. One of them started the whole thing with a running, leaping punch at the dock worker. The dock worker then threw his hat into the air as if to signify, y'all about to get a beat down. And then it all began. The pontoonies were going after the dock worker, and at one point it was 8-on-1. They were really having a bit of an advantage, but then their reinforcements arrived. People ran down from a nearby street. One dude even jumped off the boat, swam to the dock, got out and started swinging. The brawl went on to consume the entire dock and eventually had a whole bunch of people involved, and all culminated with a dude swinging a folding chair and bopping people in the head. There is a detail I have left out. The dinner boat was almost entirely black people, and the pontooners were entirely white people. And the docks at Montgomery, Alabama have a long history of being a huge part of the slave trade. A bunch of belligerent white dudes who weren't supposed to be there were blocking an entire dinner cruise full of black people from docking at the pier, and they were so upset about that they attacked the dock worker. A lot of people are seeing this as cathartic, because it kind of is. It is a direct fuck around and find out. But also, cops were there. They just managed to not kill anybody. Nobody died in this encounter. It was scrapes and bruises all around, and it was basically just This is what happens when you're an asshole. There's of course pearl clutching going on because the guy that was swinging the folding chair bopped a white woman on the head when she was already on the ground, but she was involved in the fight, and my understanding of street fights is when you get involved, you best expect you're gonna walk away with a concussion. Weird how if you enter into an ongoing fight, you might get hit. Some people say violence is never the answer, to which I would ask, why does the military exist? Sometimes when dudes are being belligerent assholes and go 8-on-1 against a single dude, they should get punched in the jaw. Just one man's humble opinion. On this day in 1854, Henry David Thoreau published Walden. Walden was a memoir of sorts that covered the 2-year, 2-month, and 2-day time span in which Henry David Thoreau was chilling at a cabin that he built near a lake, sort of in the middle of nowhere. He looked at nature a lot, and it seems like it was really nice. Basically touch grass the book. Lightning round. Norway will soon be fining Meta about $100,000 a day for illegally scraping user data. You can now entirely disable YouTube recommendations if you turn off your YouTube watch history. The CFO of Tesla abruptly stepped down recently. It was assumed that he was going to be next in line as CEO for the company, but he's just gone now. The Ghost Kitchen company that Mr. Beast is suing over the Mr. Beast Burger stuff is suing him right back for $100 million in damages. Red Dead Redemption 1 is being brought to the Switch and PS4/PS5. A 74-year-old man in Italy was killed by an avalanche of cheese wheels that fell in a warehouse accident. And finally for today, the US FDA has approved the use of an oral pill to help treat postpartum depression. This is the first pill of this kind, as treatment currently requires an IV. So this is nice. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Stuff Keeps Happening. Head to stuffkeepshappening.online for sources, bonus content, and a cool breeze. Don't forget to leave a review if you do not mind on whatever app you're using to listen to this. It would help out a ton. I really appreciate it. My name is Endeavorites. I'll be back on Friday. Take care and be well.